Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
And it's Friday, the 6th day of February, 5:07 this morning. Thanks for letting us be a part of your morning routine. I know you've got a lot going on in your life. And you're running around like a crazy person with a head chopped off, trying to get the kids here and trying to take care of the spouse there and trying to get the boss off your back there. And it's just crazy. But you know what? Let's chill out. Let's relax. Things haven't gotten nuts yet. Sun's not even up. And we're going to have a great day together, at least a great morning. What happens after 9 o'clock, you're on your own. Coming up at 7:05, Matt Schlapp, CPAC's going to join us. At 7:35, friend of the program, Dr. Jennifer London, as we continue our focus on America's 250. At 8:05, the sheriff of Loudoun County, Mike Chapman, now that he's got a governor who is undermining his efforts to keep that county safe. I'm looking forward to hearing from him. And then at 8:35, Katie Pavlich, brand new show on News Nation, my longtime friend, colleague at Town Hall, now with her primetime news program. Can't wait to talk to Katie. It'll be great to have her. Caddy. She's catty sometimes, too. It's Larry O'Connor alongside the always, never catty, Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. Happy Friday, everybody. Oh, my gosh, we made it.
It's been a week?
It's been a week.
Well, you got the kids back in school, though, right? You're in
well,
Prince
thank
George's
God.
County, so... Now,
Thank
I thought
God,
Prince George's
but,
County
man,
had
what a
opened.
bumpy ride.
I thought they had opened last week on delay. Did they open and then close again, or what happened?
No, they never opened last week. We started the week thinking that we were going to be open on Monday, and Sunday night, they were telling us through multiple communications that there was no school school tomorrow, 2-hour delay. And then guess what time they texted parents, Larry, on Monday morning to tell us that, whoops, sorry, we're going to be closed today and tomorrow.
Oh my gosh! What time did
we'll hold my fire.
We will hold off. We're going to get into this a little later, and Patrice will reveal exactly what time they texted moms and dads to let them know that the school was closed. But you give your politicians and elected officials in Prince George's County a break. It was very hard for them to respond since they were having a nice little, all expense paid retreat in a hotel. While you were all digging out of the snow, they were enjoying
their
themselves.
Staycation. Our county executive, Aisha Braveboy, and her cadre of besties were having a staycation on our dime. I'm sorry, yes. I'm not happy.
And we know about it because they posted really cool videos on TikTok about it. These morons. This is the arrogance of one-party rule. All right. Also, speaking of arrogance, we have to revisit the layoffs at the Washington Post, where again, I don't see. You know who's not upset about the and listen, I don't know why we have to say this. Of course, I'm upset when people lose their jobs. I know that that's a personal tragedy for people when they suddenly don't have a paycheck.
I mean, I'm not upset, but it's a hard thing. I understand.
It is a hard thing. Yeah. It's a hard thing for so many Americans who have to deal with this and don't have the arrogance to stand outside the place that just laid them off and say, but the owner of this company is a billionaire. He should be able to go into debt on a regular basis just to subsidize my life. No, none of us would do that because we're normal human beings and don't have the arrogance of entitlement that reporters at the Washington Post have. Here's who's upset about the Washington Post. The people who got laid off. The Democrat elected officials who rely on that propaganda organ to do their bidding for them. Other reporters and journalists who just stand in knee-jerk solidarity with everybody, shoulder to shoulder with them. And that's it. And you know who I left out of that list? The readers. Have you noticed that Washington Post readers haven't been like, this is terrible, this is awful, I can't stand... No, they haven't even noticed because guess what? The Washington Post readers, if there were that many of them who were loving the content, they wouldn't be going bankrupt and losing $100 million a year or however much money they're losing. I think it's $100 million a year. So all of these reporters who all got fired, guess what they did? The very next day, they all organized with signs and with matching T-shirts and a sound system and microphones, and they picketed and they rallied and they demonstrated, and it looked just like the anti-ICE resistance in Minneapolis as they chanted and screamed and tried to, intimidate Jeff Bezos. It's like, dude, this is exactly why you all got fired. This is exactly why you weren't doing anything at the Washington Post, because you're not a reporter, you're an activist. It's just so remarkable to see them have no sense of irony or no sense of any kind of
no self-awareness,
reason or self-awareness about who they are and what the rest of the world looks at.
Larry, I'm just looking at the pictures of these protests. Everybody's got their red, I suspect it says Guild shirt, maybe?
That may be the
I don't know.
Journalist Guild, yeah.
Okay, so they've got their red T-shirts, their red hats. They should have worn a red tie and a suit. I think they could have borrowed from President Trump's outfit. I see a big, ginormous, blown-up picture of Jeff Bezos on, blown up and cut out. So, I would take my money and probably put it towards rent rather than getting printed T-shirts, getting printed, cutouts of Jeff Bezos's face. These folks, though, have to realize that this is part of life. And so what do? You can either sit there and pout and cry and think that that's going to get you rehired again, or you can go out and hustle. And you know what? A lot of former journalists, a lot of people in the news industry have figured out, I'm going to hustle. I'm going to have my own podcast. I'm going to have my own Substack. I'm going to go out and do actual journalism, uncover stories that the mainstream is not covering, and build a following of people who like my work so much that they're willing to pay me for it. That is actually how the free market system works, and how you as a journalist who, if you have skills and if you have valuable output like good content and good journalism, you could build something for yourself. I think they're really just crying and screaming and throwing a toddler tantrum because they actually don't believe in what they're putting out. They just realize that all they were doing were taking the talking points and the press releases that are being sent to them and turning them into stories, and then trolling, looking through their social media feed to find a sad story from a friend that they can then put in their stories and make it seem like it's a big national issue, when in fact they're ignoring the real issues of not even half of America, Larry, of most of America.
Yeah, and it's funny. You're right. Obviously, the landscape of journalism has changed really over the last 20 years, maybe a little bit more. And if they didn't see that coming, if they didn't recognize that writing for a printed newspaper or a 100% paywalled website, which Washington Post basically is at this point, is not sort of the wave of the future when it comes to digital journalism. And you need to. I looked at some of the bylines of the people who were complaining about getting laid off, and they were posting like one article a week, maybe one article every 2 weeks. It's like, may I just say, as editor of Town Hall, if any of our writers were giving us that kind of output, they would not be around very long either.
Yeah.
Unless they were tasked with a very specific long-form investigative journalist piece where they're doing a lot of research. But most of journalism isn't like that at the Washington Post right now at all. And by the way, those reporters who were engaged in that kind of writing, they didn't get laid off. The people in they laid off 13 out of their 17 climate reporters and editors. Not weather reporters, climate reporters.
That they had 17 climate reporters is the issue to begin with, Larry.
Exactly. Also, they laid off a bunch of the people from the food department. And listen, I love good recipes. I love finding them on the internet. You know where I don't find good recipes? The Washington Post. Do you know how competitive is it out there? There are so many different food websites that have great recipes out there. The Washington Post, that's a pretty expensive endeavor to try to compete in that space. All right. Journalism has changed. And these reporters, these people, these entitled little brats,
toddlers,
need to
acting like little babies.
All right, a little bit more on this and a little bit more about how the tactics here are pretty remarkable, sort of trying to publicly shame Jeff Bezos into basically writing a check, going into debt, well, not personal debt, but to throwing good money after bad and propping up this concern just for political and social purposes. We have more on that. It's 5:15. So here's what it sounded like out in front of the Washington Post building as the journalists who had just gotten laid off just seamlessly transitioned into their new career as paid political protesters and activists. Send them to Minneapolis because it sounds the same. Listen.
Who makes the post? We do. Who makes the post? We do. Who makes the post? We do.
Well, not anymore. You don't. I mean, the Post
actually don't the readers who pay for the Post actually make the Post?
Democracy dies in darkness, my friends. One of the signs that the people brought said, "Democracy dies in darkness, and you, Jeff Bezos, have turned off the lights. Save the Post." Listen, if newspaper, they keep so the whole mantra here is that this is a vital journalistic endeavor that informs and educates the population, and without it, we're all right. So even if you believe that, and I believe that we need a strong free press in America. Don't get me wrong; it needs to be free. It needs to be unbiased. It needs to, actually. The people who got laid off here are the people in the food section and in the sports section, in the climate activist section, some of the other woke things. If you think that that our democratic process and our constitutional republic requires a strong free press, which I do agree, those people who report on D.C. politics and the Washington government, they're still working there, by the way. And by the way, if the Washington Post shutters tomorrow, you've got Politico, you've got Axios, you've got Semaphore, you've got Vox, you've got the New York Times,
Punchbowl News. I mean,
every single news agency in America has a Washington D.C. bureau. And by the way, some of those big concerns like Politico and Vox and Axios, they all started with former Washington Post people. You had, at Vox, you've got Ezra Klein, who used to be at now he's at the New York Times. They all move around. All of those brand names that cover American politics and D.C. government, or not, the federal government, they don't care. That's part of the problem. They didn't cover D.C. and local news at all.
Yeah, very minimal.
Those publications all started when journalists at the Washington Post had hit a ceiling. I'm sure they talked to the ownership at the time or the publishers or the editors and said, we could be doing a lot more in the digital space. That's how Politico was born. Because the guys who started Politico were frustrated at the Washington Post for being so behind the times. They said, okay, well, we're going to start a digital concern. And they did. And now it's crushing the Washington Post. Ditto Axios. Ditto these Vox and the other guys. And I don't like those websites either. But the fact is that's how journalism is these days. And if the Washington Post is having struggles, it's of their own making. And the arrogance and hubris to say, well, Jeff Bezos should just keep paying money, even if he's losing $100 million a year, because we're going to shame him into some social ostracization because he isn't doing it. That's not how business works, and it's time these guys understood they're in a business.
That's a huge part of it. It's a lack of basic economic education. So these young people think that the world revolves around them, and that you need more money, just print it, take it out of your pocket because you're so rich with it. I'm on the Washington Post website right now, and I think the challenge for them is they've been able to hide behind the masthead, which is the Washington Post, the name, what comes with that, without really understanding that you always have to be agile, and an organization and an entity, an institution has to, even though you believe that you belong and that you cannot be changed and you're a fixture, it doesn't mean that you can't change.
That's
right. It doesn't mean that you can't adjust to how the world is working. And there is nothing here, maybe other than the opinion pages, that is not, as you already said, is not already covered. They need to figure out what is their new value add. And I think Jeff Bezos is the right person to ask that question. When we look at Amazon, when we look at an organization that started out selling college textbooks. I remember, I think I bought my college textbooks on Amazon way back in the old days. But now what does Amazon do? It provides everything that you need as a consumer. And they have not been consumer focused. They've been masthead focused. Oh, it's the Washington Post. That's all that matters, not the content and not the consumer.
Let me button that idea up. So many people yesterday who were lamenting this on social media, mostly other journalists or Democrats in Congress, were saying, this is the paper that broke the Watergate story. We wouldn't have Watergate with it. They kept mentioning Watergate, Woodward and Bernstein.
How many decades ago was that?
5 decades, 50 years ago. Okay, yeah, you're right. The Washington Post, in its heyday, broke the Watergate story, right? And a lot of it was real dodgy leaks from the associate deputy director of the FBI. But set that aside for a minute. You're right. Washington Post, heyday, Watergate, 50 years ago. You're also the newspaper who formed your entire newsroom around the Russia collusion hoax.
Yes,
which
that
was
used to be
a
one of the
lie.
headline, drop-down links at the top. I remember.
That's right. That's right. So, yes, you live by the Watergate scandal. You die by the fake Russian collusion scandal. Pick up the pieces and move on. It's 524.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:37. Good morning, O'Connor and Company. Friday in your nation's capital. Plenty more to get to. We appreciate you listening to our program instead of reading the Washington Post. I mean, you can do both if you want, but
You could scroll the Post, but we're more interesting.
Just to expand on it a little bit, we're a perfect example of the second oldest delivery system of news, information, entertainment, and opinion is radio. Newspapers would only be the oldest here, right, compared to what we do. And are we doing exactly the same thing we did 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago even? No. Our industry has changed too. Spoken word content is everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone who loves their podcasts, you're welcome. Talk radio was doing that for decades. But are we just sitting here saying, hey, where'd everybody go? No, we changed the way we present our content, distribute our content, go to market with our content. We recognize that that's a changing landscape of the digital spoken word audio business.
And that we have competition. For your time driving into the office or while you're making coffee right now, you have competition. We love that you're choosing us.
We are so grateful that you are, yes. Coming up, real fast overview, 7:05 Match Lap CPAC, 8:35 Katie Pavlich, and at 8:05 the Sheriff of Loudoun County, Mike Chapman, and a whole lot more, so just stay right here. Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris had this big announcement. I don't know if you saw. She was
teasing it. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess she's going to announce formally, right?
It looked like she was coming back into politics, right? She took her Kamala HQ social media platform that had been for the Kamala for President campaign. And they had this little teaser video saying, because it's been dormant, because she lost. Like,
that part.
That humiliating, devastating, just absolutely worst political loss, dollar for dollar, in the history of American politics. Yeah, that's the one. So they took the little platform, the social media platform, and they said, big announcement coming. And they pegged it for yesterday, February 5th, or like 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning, I think. And everyone thought, oh my God, she's running for governor. She's running for the Democrat nomination for president. No, she's not doing any of those things. Here she is. She put out a video on the platform, and they've re-tagged it. Instead of Kamala HQ, it's called Headquarters 67. We're not sure about the 67. Get it? 67.
67.
There you go. Because they want the young people. That's how cringe. And
you can see my squinched up face right now because it's that bad.
All right, so now listen to her. This is the video, and just for a moment, bask in the memory of how authentic and genuine and relatable Kamala Harris is. Go ahead.
Madam Vice President, what's going on with Kamala HQ?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have good news. So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great, courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. So stay engaged, and I'll see you out there. Thank you.
Where's the meet?
It's a hub. It's going to be a hub for young people to get together and stay engaged. And you'll see exclusive content from all the really cool young people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, who is the best president in our lifetime. Yeah, I don't know what it's. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but I think they're really going after the Zoomers. She's our new Joe Rogan, even though she won't actually talk to Joe Rogan for an interview. I don't know.
It was like, hi, kids. Guess what? There's this great new thing called the internet. You can come here and you could listen to videos from really cool people, and you could stay up to date on, what's going on. Be there. I'll be there too. I mean, that's what it came across to me as.
Yeah. It's pretty
there's
rough.
Nothing here.
Yeah. The one upside to all of this is that the fact that she put 6'7" in the handle name, headquarters 6'7", is an obvious sort of blatant, just desperate attempt to look, hip and young, because 6'7", this should officially kill 6'7" from this point forward.
I mean,
6'7" is now officially over, and by the way, I'm grateful for it.
Me too, as a mom who hears about it all the time from my kindergartners. It is on the out already, and this is going to absolutely put a nail in the coffin, because you know what? It's no longer cool. And if adults, and particularly politicians, once it reaches politicians to the point where they're repeating it as though it makes them feel cool, you know it is dead. You know it is passé.
So is this going to be an actual, app or hub or website, or is it just a rebranding of a social media profile that they're now calling headquarters, and they're inviting other people to contribute on it? Or I mean, do you understand even what the hell they're doing?
Your guess is as good as mine, Larry. I don't think they know. And the video itself seems so rushed compared to all of her previously well-produced, well-choreographed, well-staged, presented videos.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, we did it. With her out there pretending to take a run and congratulate Joe Biden when he. I mean, all of that stuff was staged, and this.
Well, that was paid for by the campaign.
Well, I guess so. This is what happens when there's no money.
They had a budget for all that. Well, she has money, but it all went to her multi-million-dollar Malibu beachfront home, which apparently will not be threatened by climate change.
By climate.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
And whatever money is left over goes to that video. Which, by the way, she's wearing the same suit she wore for half of the campaign. That sort of plum-colored sort of...
Yeah. So I'm wondering then, were all those clothes just on loan by the campaign? I mean...
That's a great
listen,
question.
For anybody who has qualms with Melania Trump, I don't think she's borrowing anybody's designer clothes. Those are hers. And by the way, if anyone in the White House is listening, it would be my dream to go and just take
Patrice.
a peek inside of her closet. I don't even need to go in. I will just look from a distance, but just let me see the Louboutin collection.
Just the shoes. Just let her see the shoes.
Just let me see the shoes.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing them either. It's 5:44. There's been a lot of attention paid at Richmond and the new Spamberger administration and the Democrat majority down there and what they're doing now that they're in power. But we Marylanders, Patrice, we know what it looks like when Democrats have one-party rule. We've been suffering under it for a while. As frustrating as Larry Hogan was sometimes as a Republican, at least he was a veto on the worst of the worst ideas these Democrats have. Now that they have Wes Moore. Think about this. Let me put it this way. Imagine being Wes Moore right now. Imagine planning on running for re-election this year, this fall. He's up for re-election and hoping to run on the national ticket, either as a running mate or maybe even for president. And you had that devastating investigative report from the Washington Free Beacon that shows that one of the hallmark foundational stories you've told about your origins and your great-grandfather having to flee his church in South Carolina in the dark of night from a lynch mob from the Klan ends up to be completely made up. And then you get a report yesterday that shows that your state, Maryland, now ranks number 46 out of 50 for the worst tax climates in the nation. And you've also got a legislative body right now that continues to spend money that we don't have, and the only way to make up the deficit will be to raise taxes yet again. Mm-hmm. This is not setting up very well for Wes Moore's success story for re-election.
Well, the problem is that there aren't enough news outlets outside of the Washington Free Beacon who are willing to cover this. I mean, Wes Moore has been an embarrassment, and time after time, how many stories have we covered, Larry, right on air about the falsifications, the questionable things that he said about his educational background, his military record? I mean, this man, you wonder what is actually real with him.
Thank you. But here's the thing, and let me give the journalists a break for a second. Well, only for a quick second. That kind of reporting requires actually research, investigation. You go back, you make phone calls. Hey, did he really turn in that thesis in Oxford?
Talk to
that's
his
20, 30
talk
years
to his
ago.
office. Yep.
Here's a story that is happening right here and right now under Wes Moore's leadership. Maryland has the highest utility bills in the country. Number one. They are the 7th highest in gas taxes. They are 49 out of 50 in starting a new business. And they are 46th, as I just said, in tax competitiveness. It is the 5th most expensive state in the union, yet they're 46th in roadway infrastructure. Across the board, everything is coming up garbage in Maryland. And let me reiterate, when it comes to taxes, in terms of personal income taxes, you are now paying the 47th highest in individual personal income taxes in Maryland. 47th highest out of 50. Or actually, let me rephrase that. It's the 47th worst. In other words,
47th worst, exactly.
It's
one
the
of the highest.
The third highest. There you go.
Exactly. No, but Larry, and now Democrats, they are trying to redistrict to ensure that there's not even one Republican to represent us in Congress, and frankly, just to erase all of the right votes that exist across our state. I mean, this is woeful. But he's not going to care about this as long as it stays off the pages of Washington Post, stays off of CNN when he goes on there to Face the Nation and CBS and all these other outlets. As long as they're not asking about this, then he feels like he can skate by, and unfortunately he is skating by, and unfortunately this is what we've got because everybody wanted a perfect candidate, and oh gosh.
Oh no. So there's Maryland. Now let me just get. By the way, our friend Steve Moore over at the
Unleashing Prosperity.
Unleashing Prosperity. Thank you. Goodness,
yes.
he's gonna punch me for that if he could form a fist. Just because he's a peaceful dude. The 10 lowest ranked worst states in the country, based on the Tax Foundation's rankings. You tell me what you think these states have in common. Number 41, Hawaii. Number 42, Vermont. Number 43, Massachusetts. Number 44, Minnesota. 45, Washington. 46, Maryland. 47, Connecticut. 48, California. 49, New Jersey. And number 50, New York. Did you see a pattern there?
Oh, I do. They're blue states.
That's right.
Surprise, surprise.
And one other thing. But number 48, 49, and 50, California, New Jersey, and New York, they're right now contemplating and planning to raise taxes even more. And, we'll see what Wes Moore has to say about it. It's 5:53.